there are three big criteria that we look for in an applicant: academics and co-curriculars, work experience, communication. We accept CAT, GMAT, GRE, but if you don't have it, that's not mandatory in any way. Like almost 20% of all of my faculty, or maybe 30%, is flying in internationally from Harvard, Wharton, Stanford, and so on and so forth. Further, we have a lot of CXOs and masters who are like practitioners.
Hi Mahak, good morning.
Hi Lavanya.
Happy Friday to you,
Thank
and
you.
Welcome to the live Q&A session that we've planned out for today. As you know, we have like hundreds of students who've been asking us questions regarding the application process and how to get into Masters Union. So without spending a lot of time, I think let's just dive right in because there's a lot of questions to be answered.
Fantastic. Let's get started, Lavanya.
Perfect. Cool. So the first question, Mahak, that is the most commonly asked question is, what does Masters Union look for in a candidate?
There are three big criteria that we look for in an applicant. The first one, the 33% weightage, goes to your academics and co-curriculars, how you've done academically across your life. The second one, of course, is your work experience. Now, if you'll see, Lavanya, that in the previous years also, in the cohort that we took in 2024, we only had 4% freshers, and we intend to cut down the fresher percentage even more.
Even further.
So again, work experience is a big bucket, and we've also seen that we want students to come in with that 2 to 5, 7 years of work experience when they enter Masters Union. That's the typical range for more than 70% of our cohort of 2025 also.
Yes.
The third big criteria, of course, is your communication, because we genuinely feel a lot of how you speak, how you present, your ideas, how you write emails, all of that is very, very important as you go through your MBA journey, etc. Now, these are the three big criteria in buckets in which we have put together the talent.
Correct.
Other than this, there are also 6 qualities that we at Masters Union genuinely look for in a candidate. The first one is, have you as an individual made the best use of the opportunities that were presented to you, right? You went to ISB, you went and did your consulting at McKinsey, Bain, but if you don't make the best use after getting into those places, right, then that is limited outcome, right? So that is one, that how did you make use of the opportunities that you were presented with. The second one, do you have entrepreneurial mindset? Now again, a lot of time people say that I don't want to be an entrepreneur, and I say that's okay. But even in your job, like you're running a department today, I think there's so much ownership, hustle that you need in general, that you still need to build that owner's mindset to have that entrepreneurial mindset. And that's again something we really, really encourage for students to have.
Right.
The third one is leadership potential. Again, it's not that you might have done the biggest thing just yet in your career, but are you showing those traits of leadership potential? That becomes important. The fourth one is, do you have an impact-driven motivation? Like, are you someone who wants to create a larger-than-life impact in your vicinity, in your community, in the world at large? So again, that becomes important, right?
Yes.
Fifth one is that how do you check for curiosity?
Yes.
Because ultimately we feel that there's going to be so much new information that is being thrown at a student.
Exactly.
So if you are a stone, not a sponge, you will end up not being able to absorb, right?
Exactly.
And the last one is your growth mindset. If you're coming in with a lot of rigidity that you can't accept negative feedback, because here you will be proven wrong more times than you'll be proven right, which means you need to have that growth mindset to be able to step back, reflect what is it that I want to do better, and that's what we look for in a well-rounded candidate at Masters Union.
Perfect, Mahak. Very well said. I think just to add on to your points, I do feel that there were lots of students who were worried that, they don't come from a big brand. As you already mentioned, we do make sure that we check for what they've done in their entire work life, right? We're not looking just for people who have done very well in terms of, the pedigree that they belong to. But I think what's important for us to know is that even in the small role that maybe you had, what was the impact that you created? And I think that's very important for them to show even in the application throughout.
Absolutely.
So I think that's what we look for, right? So
I agree with you.
Yes. Starting with the next question, what has changed this year in terms of the admissions process? We had the MUBAT, as you know, last year. What is different this year? How is it different and why?
Good question, Lavanya. So of course, the application process continues in some way to be similar, where you have to fill the application. That is your step 1.
Correct.
The second step, last year we had the MUBAT, which was mandatory for all. What we've done this time is that after your step 1, only the students who are shortlisted, they will be invited to come to the campus or to one of the offline centers.
Yeah.
And there they will either, they will have to go through two things on the same day. The first is a AI assessment. Again, because AI is taking over the world, a lot of new ways to understand an individual even better. So in this AI era, we wanted to do something beyond MUBAT, and hence we have this AI assessment. This is not an elimination round, which means all the students who have been invited for the AI assessment will automatically also go through their personal interview on the same day in the offline center.
Exactly.
And the third one is, of course, you get a rejection, waitlist, or an acceptance at Masters Union. And that's a simple 3-step process. So I think we've just moved things in a way where we want students to take the AI assessment in our presence on the offline centers.
Exactly.
So that's a minor change that we've done.
Perfect. And just since Mahak mentioned the offline interviews that we are having, so I think this is also something that we are changing from last year, right? We want to understand students much better by personally interacting with them. So 99% or maybe 100% of our application interviews are actually going to be happening offline. So I think that's very important for students to know as well.
Absolutely.
And just because we spoke about the AI assessment, Mahak, can you help us understand what does it look like very briefly?
Sure. So again, the AI assessment is something where we will have some, analytical questions. We will have some verbal questions to understand your leadership style, to understand how would you answer any moral dilemma questions, how would you take up case studies, how would you go deeper into your personal understanding of who you are as an individual, why do you want to do an MBA, etc., etc. So it's a very well-rounded assessment. And more than an assessment, and I think the word assessment might be a little misleading, to be honest.
Yes.
It is just a AI interview of sort, where we're getting to know the candidate more deeply. In terms of preparation, Lavanya, I don't want anyone to be spending hours preparing or worrying about it in any way. Everything that you've done in your life up until now is preparing you for the AI assessment, and you should walk in very confidently with it.
Absolutely. I think as an applicant, what even I did during my MBA time was just to know my story very well. You know, everything should just tie up with each other, and I think that's what we want to see, right? Everything that the AI will be asking you is something that you'll already probably know.
I agree.
So that's well answered, Mahak. I think now we can move on to some other questions that are being asked on the eligibility requirements. So there's one question on the fact that whether CAT, GMAT, GRE is mandatory for getting into Masters Union.
Even like last time, we accept CAT, GMAT, GRE, but if you don't have it, that's not mandatory in any way. If you have a good score, put it on, we will look at it for sure. If you don't have it, don't worry about it. You don't need to go ahead and take another test. Our process individually, application, then the AI assessment plus personal interview, and then the offer letter, that itself will take care of evaluating you across all aspects. So we'll make sure of that.
Again, just following up, how does somebody who fills in these scores, how is that person perceived versus somebody who does not share those scores?
See, the process is the same, Lavanya. And I genuinely feel that, again, these exams are great at testing the analytical ability of a student or a verbal ability, but they're not well-rounded per se. You know, you might have had a bad day and you gave a bad CAT result. We will not look at it very negatively if you didn't submit it or you submitted a score that is low. And in fact, you've looked at a lot of applications from last year, and you would see the diversity in CAT scores, right?
Absolutely. While we do see that a majority of the students come from very, very high CAT scores, probably higher on the higher side of 95 percentile. We also have GMAT takers who have gotten 690, 790 and above. But while that is, of course, very good to see that, you know, our students are doing well in these exams, we have certain students who come from a very, very low CAT score background, not very good in terms of these scores, but they have performed extremely well in our application process. Certain areas and aspects of their application were so good that we believe that they would really do well and thrive in a place like Masters Union, where you know, it's very important for us to have the qualities that you mentioned initially as well.
Absolutely. And I think there is also a large chunk which just did not have CAT and GMAT or GRE last year, which is why, again, your CAT score, while again, of course, if you've scored exceptionally well, we will look at it, but it will not be the only factor.
Yes.
It is one of the many factors that we are looking for. And there have been cases where we rejected very high CAT scorers also if they didn't match the other parts of our criteria.
Exactly, absolutely. I think, Mahak, just one question here that another student is asking. We want to understand, is there a cutoff for these AI interactions, CAT, etc.?
None of these have cutoffs because it's a very holistic, profile that we are looking at. And in fact, when I was at Stanford, I saw there were classmates with as low as a 530 GMAT. Imagine, Lavanya.
Exactly.
But then there were exceptional stories of what they've achieved. And I think if they can accept a 530, then with the exceptional story, we can too.
Absolutely.
So for us, it's a well-rounded application.
Exactly. And I think B schools are made to have their evaluation process like that, right? Even at ISB, we had students who had very low GMAT scores, but they were exceptional students. Like they've done very well throughout. They were placed very well. Everything went very smoothly for them, because I think B schools understand the impact of these students regardless of, their scores. So I think, again, for that, we don't have any cutoffs, as you said. Mahak, we have a lot of questions on the kind of students who should apply to Masters Union. I think the first question that I can see here is that a person is asking if they don't come from a tech background, getting into the PGP TBM, which is kind of tech forward, how does that work out for them, and should they even apply?
It's a very good question. I'll give you stats here more than anything else.
Yeah.
50% of all of our students are non-engineers.
Yes.
So that means that this program is, of course, very much there for non-engineers.
Yep.
What's important is that today the entire world is moving towards tech. HR is HR tech, education is ed tech, finance is fintech, and so on. And we are moving towards that AI, ML, and tech revolution altogether. So I do think that irrespective of if you are a CA, you still need to be able to understand what's happening in the tech world. Now, also if you look at the curriculum, Lavanya, it's been designed in a way that if you are an engineer or not, I think the baseline is still more or less same. So the curriculum has been designed keeping in mind that 50% of our students will actually be non-engineers. And you, of course, might have a strength which the engineer might not have. Like I see this beautiful dichotomy in the class where engineers are learning from accounting folks and vice versa, because engineers, like, we have never gone through accounting statements. So I think there's this beautiful learning, peer-to-peer learning that happens because of the diversity in the classroom. So I don't think students should worry in case they're not coming in from tech background. Let us worry about it.
Absolutely. And I think we have a lot of challenges. We have a lot of activities that we do as a part of a group, right? So even the faculty, even the students, they ensure that they have at least one person from different backgrounds to be able to get that energy from everyone, that kind of
expertise from everyone.
That angle. So we have that definitely sorted here. Another question, Mahak, that we've gotten a lot here is, if I don't want to pursue entrepreneurship, right? If I don't want to do my own startup, if I just want to understand business, should I be applying to Masters Union? Because Masters Union as a school definitely promotes entrepreneurship, entrepreneurial mindset. So what is your take on that?
So one, I'll say that 40% of all of our curriculum is reserved towards outclass, which is all of entrepreneurial tasks. Now, I understand if you don't want to be an entrepreneur, but I think everybody needs to build an entrepreneurial mindset to succeed in their jobs. So hence, we will not change the curriculum for someone who might come in with the clarity ki I just need a job from this place, which I think is, again, not using the resources as well as you can potentially. So I still encourage people to, come in with an open mind more than a closed, narrow mind. But the idea is to build those skills, go hustle in the market, apply what you're learning in academics to real life, because ultimately until you execute it, you'll not remember. How much of some of the classes where you didn't execute do you remember today, Lavanya? Like, I don't remember. I've been 5 years out of my MBA program now. So only classes where I went out and executed in real life. And that's why Masters Unions Learn Business by Doing Business pedagogy works out so beautifully. I'll give you an example here, okay? 2 students were hired in Zepto in the cohort 3. In cohort 4, because they loved those 2 students, they ended up hiring over 10 students from our current cohort. And I asked them, that why have you been hiring so many students from our cohort? And of course, they're growing. That is one factor. But they said that your students come in with that mindset ki kuch bhi kar lenge. They will just roll up their sleeves so much that one day one student is कि तुझे factory चलानी है because that factory is struggling.
Yes.
And he went to that manufacturing plant and spent a significant amount of his time and actually helped turn around that factory.
Exactly.
To me, that is why you need that entrepreneurial mindset.
Exactly.
कि we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. Exactly. And I think as a manager or as a leader, it's not important for you to know details of everything, but it's very important for you to understand who is doing what and what is the kind of input we need. So I think for that, I think knowing how every function interacts with the other function is very important, and I think that's
that curiosity again,
very
right?
very important.
Yeah,
and I think that's really helpful when you actually get into that action zone. So I think that's very
and
important.
it's very heartening, and I don't want to get into the placement side of it, and we'll discuss this in the placement outcome. But there are 24 students from the cohort 4 who have actually opted out of taking jobs and are working on their startups full time.
Yes.
And there are so many of them. One has raised $600,000 already in just 6 months.
Very impressive. Yes.
VIP ended. There's someone who's already done 50 lakh in revenue in 6 months.
That's crazy.
That is so incredible.
Yeah.
And that person is doing it profitably. I'm sure the salary that he would get from here in another few months, he'll be at higher salary than that through his business already. With the beauty of running the business. So I think it really, I just want people to come in with that open mind and not a closed mind.
Yes.
And it's okay if you don't want to be an entrepreneur, you still have the opportunity to take up a great career opportunity as a place through our placement cell.
Absolutely. I think I was just speaking to one student also, and I was like, why you, what excites you about Masters Union? And he was like, yeah, see, my best case scenario is that I will get to build my own startup, get funded and work, that's the best thing out of this. But worst case, I will still get a job, right? Masters Union is very well equipped to get me the kind of job that I want, and they'll work towards getting me that. So like it's only like a win-win situation.
It's not your best scenario to get a job. The best scenario is to actually get into a startup and build it very successfully.
Yeah, and either way, it's a win-win for the students. So I think that was very nice to hear as well. I think we have some generic questions as well, Mahak. So one question that has been asking a lot is which round should students mostly apply in? Are the rounds equally competitive? What's the difference? So anything you want to add there?
My 2 cents will be that you should apply early on. I was myself a round 1 applicant for Stanford. Now, why I say this? One, of course, these logistical things, say hostel finding. There were people in round 3 of last year where their loans could not get processed on time. And loan processing itself takes time. Sometimes your credit history is such that, one of the loan player might deny giving you loan and so on. So logistics of just that. Second is just feeling close to your cohort. Now imagine someone who entered in round 1 and you are already gelling in networking. So you're getting an extended 6-8 months compared to other students who are joining subsequently, right? So again, that helps a lot if you are joining early on in early rounds. Then also if you think of, Lavanya, we of course have limitation in terms of how many similar types of students can we take, right?
Yes.
Ultimately, if we've taken one Lavanya, we would not want to get another replica of Lavanya, right? Because we are trying to add a very diverse classroom.
Correct.
So again, for us, I think the chances of that happening when all the seats are open versus when very few seats are remaining in round 3, I feel again, I think round 1 or round 2 at max, round 3 we're just really keeping it for those really late comers. And the acceptance rate there usually is significantly lower because there we're just looking at maybe someone exceptional who we may have missed otherwise.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Perfect. I think that's well answered. Lastly, how do waitlisted students get accepted? I mean, is there any particular process? Like, how does that work, Mahak?
So again, we are constantly looking at the waitlist pool also, and we try our best to, at least update them very clearly whether you have a chance or not. But again, especially in round 1 or round 2, sometimes we might look at a student and say that, oh, let's just see if there's someone who might be significantly a better fit for Masters Union and might waitlist. So the waitlist keeps clearing as the results for other rounds keep coming out, because we'll get to see a more holistic applications subsequently.
And I think one last question that I just received, Mahak, is a little bit about scholarships. Now, there are students who want to understand what's the process like, how does scholarship work, what is the criteria, evaluation criteria. So just help us with that a little.
These are all merit-based scholarships. All of these are mentioned on our website. Different scholarship is optimizing for a different sort of student. Like, someone might It might be someone who's exceptional at academics, someone might be exceptional at technology, entrepreneurship, or we also have diversity, female candidate specific scholarships also. So each of those criteria are mentioned very clearly on the website.
I think since it's also merit-based, not need-based, we want to make sure that we are evaluating all students basis their merit. Another question, Mahak, let's just talk a little bit about career opportunities available to Masters Union students. What are the different types of careers that student can look forward to here, and how does Masters Union help with that?
You know, again, I feel I'm very proud of the kind of career support that Masters Union offers, and I think it's again something which is very unique to Masters Union. We have someone who's again a consultant from BCG who is leading the placement preparation team. We have someone who has 12 years of B2B sales experience who's leading the placement outreach team. Now what we do is that, you know, as early as the first 2 weeks of student at Masters Union, they get to explore all the careers. They get to speak with panelists from different domains: marketing, sales, VC, private equity, investment banking. All of these are covered in the very first 2 weeks itself, where they're just trying to understand what is the buffet of options available also, because again, coming in from say an engineering background, I might not even know what are my options going forward, right? And then the subsequent weeks are spent in really refining that this is the point where you are in life and this is the next point where you want to go, and then creating the bridge to go from point A to point B, but understanding what that point B could be, which is where students end up picking which domain might be the right post MBA fit for them, and then preparing those students specifically for those domains. So, you know, career preparation happens in 2 parts. The first is a generic preparation, which all the students take together: behavioral questions, tell me about yourself, why this company, blah blah. But the second part is a domain specific, like, you know, practicums that happen where you are preparing for the specific domain. So this comes as your career preparation part. And I think I'll also briefly mention about our Get Prep platform, which I love. There are 200 mentors on demand, just like you book an Uber on demand. You can book a mentor from a specific domain, from a specific field, to talk about maybe your future interest, to talk about assignment that you have to do, a case study that you have to do. You can do a mock interview with them, and so on and so forth. And again, I'll give an example from the current cohort, which is just started in June. There's a girl who got through the internship at BCG, and I asked her how did she prepare. She has done 140 Get Prep sessions, Lavanya.
Yes, 144 to be precise.
144 to be precise. Now,
and
to me,
in 2 months, Mahak, like
exactly,
not even
2 months.
A very long time,
And that's the kind of hustle that you get to do at Masters Union, where you have the resources to be double sure, triple sure, whatever that number is for you, you have access to that platform. Now, in terms of career opportunities, you know, we've seen that there are two buckets in which that happens, and I'm not talking about the outclass thing here, because we've already talked about the bench initiation outcomes here. So I'm going to strictly talk about the placement outcomes here right now. If you look at the placement outcome, the 2 set of students. One is students who are trying to excel in the same domain that they came in from. For example, they came in from product. Now they want to take a significantly more senior role in product. They prepare for it. The other one is where they're trying to transition. Say they have been CAs and now they're like, okay, but where do I go next? There was a CA who went into Creds M&A. There's another CA who went into Cipla's M&A team, and so on and so forth. Similarly, maybe there's an engineer who's now trying to get into product, or there's a salesperson who's trying to enter into marketing, and the team is well equipped to work personally with these students, understand where they want to go beyond post-Masters Union, and help them reach that point. And this year, we've also had a lot of exciting international opportunity. And I again don't want to spill the beans too much, because we have the placement report for the cohort of 2024 coming out very, very soon. And we'll go into a lot of details there.
Perfect. I think just to give another example here on career transitions, Mahak, if you remember, we have this one student in C4 who actually came from a marketing background, and she landed a VC role. And this is very surprising and impressive. But I was speaking to her, and she mentioned that the reason I was able to land a VC role without having a past background, and as you know, it's very difficult to crack VC roles. The fact that she came from marketing and she actually got the chance to market her products through the drop shipping, through the VIP, is something that the VC role really required her to do. And I think that really helped her, you know,
like that startup story of the venture initiation program. Another reason why we have the venture initiation program, even if you don't want to be a startup founder, you can still leverage it in your VC interviews. And the multiple such VC outcomes that we've had again in cohort 4. which we'll talk about in the placement podcast.
Yes, yes. And I think one more question here, Mahak, is that lots of questions around students who look for an MBA, right? The first thing that they think about is the ROI, right? How expensive a B school is, what is the cost benefit analysis that they can do before they decide to pick the right B school.
Right.
So what is your take on that? Since we understand that MU is currently slightly competitively priced, how do you want the students to think about this?
So first off, I'll completely acknowledge and agree that we are well priced in terms of we are among maybe the top 5-6 most expensive MBA programs, and I'm not saying that's something to boast off, but if you look at the kind of facilities that we give, Lavanya, I don't want to compromise on that, right? The Get Prep mentor, every mentor is charging me, of course, an amount to be able to give those kind of services to the students. I have like almost 20% of all of my faculty, or maybe 30%, is flying in internationally from Harvard, Wharton, Stanford, and so on and so forth. Which means that again, these are the best faculties that we are trying to bring on board. Further, we have a lot of CXOs and masters who are like practitioners.
Yes.
Like you have the ex-CEO of Airtel coming in. You have the current BlackRock chairman, country head of India. He did a master class. Now, of course, while some of them are pro bono, but some of them will charge a fairly high fee because they are practitioners. Their time is worth expensive. It's fairly expensive, if I can be very honest. So all in all, I feel we will never compromise on the quality of the outcome. But I want to show another perspective. There are students who have graduated debt free with zero, whatever they would have invested in Masters Union, through a lot of case competitions that they've won, through a lot of grants. Like throughout the year, Masters Union, we ourselves are giving out more than 1.5-2 crores of grants throughout the year. Drop shipping winners get grants, VIP every stage winner gets grants, then you have Creator Challenge winners get grants, then the Founder Fellowship where we're giving 40,000 per month to the students who are working on their startup ideas, they get grants. So there are multiple ways in which students can actually earn money while doing their MBA program. And then we bring in a lot of live projects. Like right now, there are students who are going for a live project with VMart, and this is part-time internship. It's not even full-time internship. So those part-time internships are also giving them a good amount of pocket money. Then the full-time internships act as additional pocket money. And the last factor is that 40 to 50% of our cohort is typically placed way ahead of the 16 months. What that means is that you would have started earning significantly faster than what peers in 2-year MBA programs would have started earning. So your ROI is actually going to come very, very quickly. And today, we're sitting in October, we're almost at the October end. The cohort of 24, there are only 10 students, 15 students who are going through their placement process right now. Everybody else is placed ahead of the end of the cohort in that 16-month frame, and has already started earning, right? Isn't that incredible?
That's incredible.
So you are getting your ROI actually much faster than you might otherwise.
Absolutely. And the good part is that, Mahak, these dropshipping challenges, VIP, everything is mandatory, right? So it's a very risk-free environment, while at the same time, it gives you the opportunity to get that money back, right? Or at least earn money. So like you said, Founders Fellowship is given to students who, maybe win the challenges, dropshipping or VIP. But they win, the way they win is also by earning money, right? So for example, there was this one, I think Zeller, if I'm not wrong, they earned about 45 lakhs in 2 months. That's insane. That covers the cost of the course itself, right? And on top of that, they have the Founders Fellowship as well. So I think there are lots of avenues to earn money and go debt free if students take the opportunity to.
And these are students' words where they tell their parents that after drop shipping they start feeling so confident, Lavanya, ki job nahi bhi lagi na, I know an alternate source of income for my own life, and I know I can earn this bare minimum amount by just doing a side hustle.
Absolutely.
To me, that's very empowering.
Yes. And I think that really sets you up for your career, right? We're not just looking at like a short-term placement, while we of course have that as well. But I think this really sets you up in terms of confidence, in terms of upskilling yourself, which is something that our students currently also really, really value. So I think that's very important. Thanks a lot, Mahak. I think that's all for today. But we'll definitely maybe have another session if we have a different kind of set of questions that will be asked.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lavanya.
Thanks a lot, Mahak.
Thanks again, students, for joining in, and good luck as you put your applications together for the intake of 2025.